Jonathan Sterling sat at his usual corner table inside Riverside Cafe, watching steam rise from his black coffee. The morning sun painted golden streaks across the polished wooden floors. He loved this place because it felt steady and predictable, just like his life. Everything in Jonathan's world had structure and purpose. His best friend Ryan Martinez slid into the seat across from him, grinning like he knew a secret. Ryan worked at the same investment firm where Jonathan served as senior financial advisor. They had known each other since business school and shared almost everything. "So tell me again about this perfect woman you're looking for," Ryan said, stirring sugar into his coffee. "I want to hear the full list." Jonathan shook his head, but couldn't help smiling. "It's not a list. Just some basic preferences." "Right, preferences," Ryan laughed. "Let me guess. Blonde hair, quiet personality, comes from the right family. Knows how to behave at charity dinners." "You make it sound ridiculous," Jonathan said, but Ryan wasn't exactly wrong. Jonathan had always been careful about who he dated. His mother, Victoria Sterling, had specific expectations, and honestly, those expectations made sense. Their family had a reputation to maintain in the business community. "Claire Whitmore fits all those requirements perfectly," Ryan added, watching Jonathan's face carefully. Jonathan shifted in his seat. Claire was nice enough. She came from old money, attended the right schools, and his mother absolutely adored her. They had dated on and off for 2 years, but something always felt missing. He couldn't quite explain what. "Claire is fine," Jonathan said quietly. "That's the problem, man. Fine isn't enough." Before Jonathan could respond, the cafe door opened and she walked in. When time stopped, Amara Chen moved through the cafe with natural confidence that made people turn their heads. She wore an emerald green dress that complemented her warm brown skin. Her black hair fell in soft waves past her shoulders. She wasn't trying to draw attention, but she commanded it anyway. Jonathan forgot what he was saying. He forgot Ryan was sitting right there. He just watched as she ordered her coffee, smiled at something the barista said,
Yes.
and then turned toward the door. Their eyes met for just a second. Her gaze was intelligent and direct, like she could see right through pretense. Then she was gone, walking out into the morning sunshine. "Earth to Jonathan," Ryan said, waving his hand. Jonathan blinked and looked at his friend, feeling disoriented. "Who was that?" Jonathan asked, though he tried to sound casual. "Don't know, but you look like you just saw an angel," Ryan teased. "So much for blonde and delicate, huh?" Jonathan grabbed his coffee and drank it too fast, burning his tongue. He didn't understand what had just happened. Beautiful women walked past him all the time. This shouldn't feel different, but it did. Unexpected collision 3 days later. Jonathan rushed through the hallway of Sterling Tower, the building where his firm occupied 5 floors. He was late for a client meeting and juggling his phone, briefcase, and coffee cup. He didn't see her coming around the corner. They collided hard. His coffee went everywhere, soaking the front of his expensive gray suit. Papers scattered across the marble floor. "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry." Jonathan looked up and felt his heart stop. It was her. The woman from the cafe? "I wasn't watching where I was going," she said, already kneeling to gather his papers. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," Jonathan managed to say, though his suit was ruined and coffee was dripping onto his shoes. She stood up, handing him his papers, and he got his first good look at her up close. She had the most expressive brown eyes he had ever seen, and right now they were filled with genuine concern. "Your suit," she said. "I'll pay for the cleaning. Don't worry about it. These things happen. Still, I feel terrible." She reached into her bag and pulled out a business card. "Please send me the bill. I insist." Jonathan took the card. "Amara Chen, event coordinator, premier occasions. You work in this building?" he asked. "Starting today, actually. My company just got hired to plan the annual charity gala for Sterling Financial Group." She smiled, and Jonathan felt something shift in his chest. "I guess I'm making a great first impression. Could be worse," Jonathan said, looking down at his coffee-stained suit. "At least you're not the one wearing breakfast." She laughed, a warm, genuine sound that made him want to hear it again. "I'm Amara, by the way." "Shh, Jonathan? Jonathan Sterling. Her eyes widened slightly. As in Sterling Financial Group? That's the one. Oh no. She covered her face with her hands. I just dumped coffee all over my new client's suit. This is officially the worst first day ever, Jonathan said gently. Seriously, don't worry about it. Consider it a memorable introduction. She lowered her hands and smiled at him again, and Jonathan realized he was staring. He forced himself to look away. I should go change, he said, but I'll see you around. Definitely. I'll be working on the gala for the next 6 weeks. Jonathan watched her walk away, then looked down at the business card still in his hand. 6 weeks. He would be seeing her for 6 weeks. Ryan appeared from nowhere, grinning like he had won the lottery. That was her, wasn't it? Coffee shop girl? Her name is Amara. She just spilled coffee all over you and you're smiling like an idiot. Ryan shook his head. Man, you're in trouble. Jonathan didn't argue because Ryan was absolutely right. The defense by the end of the first week. Jonathan had learned 3 important things about Amara Chen. First, she was brilliant at her job. Second, she didn't back down from anyone. Third, people in his office were talking about her. Jonathan overheard the conversation in the break room. 2 colleagues from accounting, Patricia and Stephen, were speaking in low voices. Did you see what she was wearing yesterday? Patricia said. That bright yellow dress? So inappropriate for a professional environment. Some people just want attention, Stephen added, probably trying to catch someone important. Jonathan felt anger rise in his chest. He pushed open the break room door. Amara Chen is one of the most professional people I've ever worked with, Jonathan said firmly. She dresses beautifully and appropriately. Maybe instead of criticizing her, you should focus on doing your own jobs well. Both Patricia and Stephen looked shocked. Jonathan never confronted people like this. He always stayed out of office politics. Didn't mean anything, Patricia stammered. Yes, you did. And you were wrong. Jonathan walked out before they could respond. His hands were shaking slightly. He had never defended someone so fiercely before. That was quite a speech. Jonathan turned around. Amara stood in the hallway, holding a folder against her chest. She had heard everything. They were out of line, Jonathan said. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. Amara studied his face for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then she stepped closer. Thank you, Jonathan. Really. The way she said his name made his heart beat faster. You're welcome. She reached out and squeezed his hand briefly before walking away. It was just a quick touch, barely anything. But Jonathan felt it long after she disappeared around the corner. That night, lying in bed, Jonathan stared at the ceiling and admitted the truth to himself. He was falling for Amara Chen, and that terrified him more than anything ever had. Sunday morning arrived with crisp autumn air and bright sunshine. Jonathan drove through the tree-lined streets toward his childhood home, his hands gripping the steering wheel tighter than necessary. He knew what was coming. His mother had been leaving messages all week about having an important discussion. Victoria Sterling's house stood like a monument in the historic Oakwood district. White columns framed the entrance, and perfectly trimmed hedges lined the walkway. Everything about the house screamed order and tradition. Jonathan's mother opened the door before he could knock. She wore pearls and a perfectly pressed blue dress, even though it was just the 2 of them for brunch. Right on time, Victoria said, kissing his cheek. Come in, darling. I made your favorite French toast. The dining room table was set with fine china and fresh flowers. Classical music played softly from hidden speakers. Jonathan sat down and tried to enjoy the meal, but his stomach felt tight. So, Victoria said, setting down her teacup with deliberate care. How are things progressing with Claire? Jonathan had been expecting this question, but it still made him uncomfortable. We're just friends right now, Mom. Just friends. Jonathan, you're 36 years old. Claire Whitmore is perfect for you. She comes from an excellent family. She's educated, refined, and she understands our world. I know all that. Victoria leaned forward, her expression softening. Darling, I only want you to be happy. But happiness comes from building a life with someone suitable, someone who fits. No. Jonathan thought about Amara's words from their late-night conversation at the office. I won't be anyone's secret again. He thought about how his mother would react if he brought Amara to Sunday brunch. What if I met someone else? Jonathan heard himself ask. His mother's smile froze. Someone else? Who? Nobody specific. I'm just asking hypothetically. Victoria studied him with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Jonathan, be careful. The choices you make affect more than just yourself. They affect our family name, our business relationships, our standing in the community. So I should marry someone based on what other people think. I'm saying you should. Marry someone who enhances your life, not complicates it. Victoria reached across the table and took his hand. Trust me on this. I've seen what happens when people follow their hearts without thinking about consequences. Jonathan left an hour later feeling worse than when he arrived. He sat in his car and pulled out his phone, scrolling to Amara's contact. His thumb hovered over her name, but he couldn't bring himself to press it. What would he even say? 3 days together, Monday morning brought unexpected news. Jonathan walked into his office to find his assistant looking flustered. Mr. Sterling, your mother called 3 times already. She wants you to call her back immediately. Thanks, Monica. I'll handle it. But before he could pick up the phone, his business partner Thomas Green appeared in the doorway. Jonathan, we have a situation with the gala venue. The inspection schedule got moved up. We need someone to coordinate with the event planner for the next 3 days. Full-time oversight. Jonathan's heart skipped. The event planner? You mean Amara Chen? Exactly. Can you handle it? I know it's short notice, but you're the only one who understands both the structural requirements and the aesthetic vision. Jonathan should have said no. He should have made an excuse. Instead, he heard himself saying, "Sure, I can do that." 3 days alone with Amara, 3 days of trying to maintain professional boundaries while his feelings grew stronger every time he saw her. Thomas clapped him on the shoulder. Great! She's already at the venue. Better head over there now. The Riverside venue, the Riverside Grand Hall, was a beautiful historic building overlooking the water. High arched windows let in streams of natural light. Original crown molding decorated the ceilings. Hardwood floors gleamed under crystal chandeliers. Jonathan found Amara in the main ballroom, measuring spaces and making notes on her tablet. She wore black pants and a cream-colored blouse, her hair pulled back in a professional bun. She looked completely focused and incredibly beautiful. "Hey," Jonathan said from the doorway. She looked up and smiled, though the smile seemed a bit guarded. "Hey, yourself. Guess we're working partners for the next few days. Looks that way." "Is that going to be a problem?" Mara set down her tablet and met his eyes directly. "Jonathan, I need to be honest with you. I know there's something happening between us. I feel it too. But I can't do this dance where we pretend and hide and keep everything unclear." Her directness caught him off guard. "Not trying to hide anything, aren't you? 'Cause from where I'm standing, it feels like you're interested, but also holding back. I need to know why." Jonathan opened his mouth, then closed it. Thought about his mother's words at brunch. He thought about Claire and expectations and the life he was supposed to live. "It's complicated," he finally said. "That's not an answer, I know." He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated with himself. "Can we just focus on work today, please?" Amara studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "Okay, work it is." They spent the morning in careful politeness, discussing table arrangements and lighting specifications. It should have been awkward, but somehow they fell into an easy rhythm. Jonathan noticed how she tilted her head when she was thinking hard about something, how she hummed softly while making notes, how her whole face lit up when she figured out a solution to a problem. By lunchtime, they were both hungry and tired. They walked to a small deli near the venue and sat at an outside table. "Can I ask you something?" Amara said, unwrapping her sandwich. "Sure. Why do you let other people's expectations control your life?" The question was so direct it made Jonathan flinch. "What makes you think I do that?" "Because I see it. The way you talk about your family, your business, your future, it's like you're following a script someone else wrote." She took a bite of her sandwich, watching him carefully. "Don't you ever want to just do what makes you happy? It's not that simple." "Why not?" "Because I have responsibilities. There's people counting on me, a reputation to maintain." Amara set down her sandwich. "Jonathan, I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to really hear it. My ex-fiancée, the one I told you about, He loved me. I believe that, but he loved his family's approval more. And in the end, that meant he didn't love me enough. That's different, is it? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks pretty similar. Her voice was gentle but firm. I'm not going to be someone's secret. I'm not going to be the woman a man is ashamed to bring home to his family. I did that once, and I will never do it again. I'm not ashamed of you. Then what are you afraid of? The question hung in the air between them. Jonathan wanted to answer. He wanted to tell her that he was afraid of disappointing his mother, afraid of what people would say, afraid of stepping outside the neat little box his life had always fit into. But most of all, he was afraid that if he reached for something real, it might slip through his fingers. I don't know, he admitted quietly. The late-night confession that evening. They worked late at the venue, finalizing floor plans and decoration schemes. The building was empty except for them, their voices echoing in the vast ballroom. I think that's everything, Amara said around 9 o'clock, saving her notes. We're actually ahead of schedule. Good, that's good. She started packing up her things, and Jonathan felt panic rising in his chest. Once they left this building, they would go back to their separate lives. Tomorrow would bring new complications and old expectations. Amara, wait. She turned back to him, her bag over her shoulder. I need to tell you something, Jonathan said, his heart pounding. You asked me what I'm afraid of, and I couldn't answer then. But I know now. What are you afraid of? I'm afraid that if I choose you, I'll lose everything else. My family, their approval, the life I built. But I'm more afraid that if I don't choose you, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. Amara set down her bag slowly. Jonathan, I can't make this decision for you. You have to figure out what matters most. No. But I want you to know that when I think about my future now, all I see is you. She closed her eyes for a moment, and when she opened them again, they were bright with unshed tears. That's beautiful. But beautiful words aren't enough. I need action. I need someone who will stand beside me publicly, proudly, without hesitation. I want to be that person, and be that person. She picked up her bag again. I'm going home now. And I think you need to figure out who you really are. Jonathan Sterling. The man your mother wants you to be, or the man you actually want to be. She walked toward the exit, her footsteps echoing in the empty hall. Amara, she stopped but didn't turn around. I'm falling in love with you, Jonathan said. I just wanted you to know that. She stood still for a long moment, her back to him. Then she spoke without turning around. I'm falling in love with you too, and that's why this hurts so much. She was gone, and Jonathan stood alone in the beautiful empty ballroom, knowing that everything was about to change. Jonathan barely slept that night. He lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every conversation with Amara in his mind. Her words kept echoing. I need someone who will stand beside me publicly, proudly, without hesitation. He had told her he was falling in love with her. She had said the same. But words meant nothing without action, and Jonathan knew it. By morning, he had made a decision. He would talk to his mother. Really talk to her. He would tell her about Amara and make her understand. Then he would go to Amara and prove that he could be the man she deserved. Jonathan showered and dressed quickly, rehearsing what he would say to Victoria. But when he checked his phone, he found 5 missed calls from Ryan and a text message that made his blood run cold. Call me immediately. It's about Amara. Jonathan's hands shook as he dialed Ryan's number. Finally, Ryan answered on the first ring. Where have you been? What's wrong? What happened to Amara? She's leaving town, man. Today, I just heard from Monica at the office. Amara submitted her resignation to the gala committee this morning. She recommended a replacement coordinator and everything. Jonathan felt like the floor had dropped out from under him. That's impossible. The gala is in 3 weeks. She wouldn't just leave. Well, she is. Monica said she's catching the 2 o'clock train to Boston. Apparently, she got offered a position at some big event company up there. Better pay, better opportunities. Jonathan looked at his watch. It was already 11:30. Which station? Jonathan asked, already grabbing his keys. Union Station downtown? But Jonathan, you need to think about this. If you go after her, if you make this choice, there's no going back. Your mother, Claire, all those expectations you've been carrying around, are you ready to let that go? Jonathan was already heading for the door. I should have let it go weeks ago. The confrontation. Jonathan drove toward downtown, but he only made it 3 blocks before his phone rang. His mother's name flashed on the screen. He almost didn't answer, but something made him pull over. Jonathan, we need to talk. Right now. Victoria's voice was tight with controlled anger. Mom, I can't. I have something urgent to handle. This is about that event planner, isn't it? Amara Chen. Jonathan's grip tightened on the steering wheel. How did you know her name? Patricia Morrison called me this morning. She's on the gala committee, and she told me about the little scene you made defending that woman. She also told me you've been spending an awful lot of time with her. Patricia Morrison needs to mind her own business. Jonathan Sterling. Don't you dare take that tone with me. Victoria's voice cracked slightly. I'm your mother. I deserve to know what's going on in your life. Jonathan closed his eyes and took a deep breath. You're right. You do deserve to know. I'm in love with Amara, Mom, and I'm going to tell her that today. Silence on the other end of the line. Then Victoria spoke, her voice strained. Jonathan, please don't do this. Think about what you're throwing away. I'm not throwing anything away. I'm choosing something real for the first time in my life. She's not right for you. She doesn't understand our world. She understands the real world, Mom. The one where people love each other because of who they are, not what they represent. Jonathan's voice softened. I know you want what's best for me, but what's best for me is being with someone who makes me want to be better, braver, more honest. That's Amara. And what about Claire? What about our family reputation? Claire deserves someone who loves her completely. I'm not that person. Jonathan checked his watch. 12:15. And as for our reputation, I think it'll survive me falling in love with Anne, an incredible woman who happens to not fit your checklist. You're making a mistake, maybe, but it's my mistake too. Jonathan put the car back in gear. I have to go now, Mom. I love you. But I have to go. He hung up before she could respond and drove toward Union Station as fast as traffic would allow. The race against time. Union Station was crowded with midday travelers. Jonathan abandoned his car in a loading zone and ran inside, his eyes scanning the departure boards. Boston train, platform 7, departing at 2 o'clock. He checked his watch again. 1:40-5. Jonathan pushed through the crowd, his heart pounding. He reached platform 7 and looked desperately down the length of the train. People were boarding, saying goodbyes, loading luggage. Where was she? Looking for someone? Jonathan spun around. Ryan stood there, slightly out of breath, holding 2 coffee cups. What are you doing here? Jonathan asked. You think I'd miss this? I've been watching you dance around your feelings for weeks. Someone needs to witness the grand gesture. Ryan handed him one of the coffee cups. Besides, you look like you could use backup. I can't find her. She's here. I saw her when I came in. 3rd, car from the front. Window seat. Jonathan started running before Ryan finished speaking. He weaved between passengers and luggage carts, ignoring the annoyed looks people gave him. He reached the 3rd car and climbed aboard. The train car was about half full. Jonathan walked down the aisle, checking each row. Then he saw her. Amara sat by the window, her carry-on bag in the seat beside her. She wore a simple gray sweater and jeans, her hair loose around her shoulders. She was looking out the window with an expression that broke Jonathan's heart. She looked sad. The moment of truth, Jonathan stopped beside her row, suddenly unsure what to say. All the speeches he had rehearsed in the car evaporated from his mind. Hi, he managed. Amara's head snapped around. Her eyes went wide with shock. Jonathan, what are you doing here? I heard you were leaving. I am leaving. She gestured at her bag. I got offered a great position in Boston. Better career opportunities. Fresh start. It's what I need. Running away, you mean? Her jaw tightened. That's not fair. You're right. I'm sorry. Jonathan took a deep breath. Can I sit down? Amara hesitated, then moved her bag to the floor. Jonathan sat beside her, acutely aware of the other passengers watching them with interest. "You shouldn't have come," Amara said quietly. "I had to. I couldn't let you leave thinking I was too much of a coward to fight for you. Jonathan, we talked about this. You have your life, your family, your expectations. I'm not going to be the complication that tears all that apart. You're not a complication. You're the best thing that's happened to me in years." Jonathan turned in his seat to face her fully. "I talked to my mother this morning. I told her about you, about how I feel, and I chose you, Amara. I'm choosing you." Tears welled up in Amara's eyes. "You don't know what you're saying. You don't know what you'd be giving up." "I'm not giving up anything that matters. The only thing that matters is sitting right here in front of me. Your mother will never accept me, and she'll have to learn. But I'm not living my life according to someone else's blueprint anymore. Not even hers." The train's loudspeaker crackled to life. "Final boarding call for the 2 o'clock service to Boston. All passengers, please board immediately." Amara looked toward the window, then back at Jonathan. "I'm scared," she whispered. "Me too. But I'd rather be scared with you than safe without you." Jonathan reached out and took her hand. "Come back with me. Give us a real chance. Let me prove that I can be the man you need, the one who stands beside you proudly, publicly, without hesitation. And if your family never accepts us, then we'll build our own family, our own life, our own traditions." Jonathan squeezed her hand. "I love you, Amara Chen. I should have said it clearly before, without all the fear and hesitation. I love you, and I don't want to spend another day pretending I don't." Tears spilled down Amara's cheeks. "I love you too. So much it terrifies me." "Then be terrified with me. But don't get on this train." The train lurched slightly, preparing to depart. Amara looked at Jonathan, really looked at him. Searching his face for any sign of doubt or hesitation, she must have found what she was looking for. Because suddenly she was gathering her bag and standing up. "Excuse me? I need to get off," she said to the conductor who was walking down the aisle. "Ma'am, the train is about to leave." "No, I need to get off right now," the conductor sighed, but stepped aside. Amara grabbed Jonathan's hand and pulled him up. They rushed down the aisle together and jumped off the train just as the doors began to close. They stood on the platform, breathing hard, still holding hands. The train pulled away slowly, leaving them behind. "I can't believe I just did that," Amara said, laughing and crying at the same time. "I can't believe you almost left." She turned to face him. "If we do this, if we're really together, I need you to promise me something. Anything. No more being ashamed of us. Whatever comes, we face it together. Deal." Jonathan pulled her close and kissed her. Right there on the platform with dozens of people watching, he kissed her like he had wanted to for weeks. Like she was the only person in the world who mattered. When they finally pulled apart, Amara was smiling through her tears. "Deal," Jonathan said. 3 months later, the charity gala was perfect. Amara had stayed on as coordinator and created something truly spectacular. The Riverside Grand Hall glowed with warm lighting and elegant decorations. Guests in formal wear mingled and laughed, while a string quartet played softly. Jonathan stood near the entrance in his tuxedo, watching Amara coordinate last-minute details with the catering staff. She wore a stunning burgundy gown that took his breath away. Every time he saw her, he fell a little more in love. "She did an amazing job," a voice said beside him. Jonathan turned to find his mother standing there. Victoria looked elegant as always in a navy evening gown and diamonds. Their relationship had been strained since the train station incident, but they were slowly finding their way back to each other. She really did, Jonathan agreed. Victoria watched Amara for a moment. "She makes you happy." It wasn't quite an approval, but it wasn't disapproval either. It was acknowledgement, and for now, that was enough. "She makes me want to be better," Jonathan said. "She challenges me, supports me, believes in me. She's everything I didn't know I needed." Victoria was quiet for a long moment. Then she sighed. "I suppose I need to get to know her better. Properly this time, without prejudice." Jonathan looked at his mother in surprise. "Really? Perhaps dinner next week? Just the three of us?" "I I think she'd like that. Across the room, Amara caught Jonathan's eye and smiled. He smiled back, his heart full. Ryan appeared with 2 champagne glasses, handing one to Jonathan. To love conquering all? To making the right choice, Jonathan corrected. Same thing. Man. Ryan clinked his glass against Jonathan's. Same thing. Later that night, after the gala ended and the guests had left, Jonathan found Amara on the venue's terrace overlooking the river. The city lights sparkled on the dark water. "Hey," he said, wrapping his arms around her from behind. She leaned back against him. "Hey yourself." "Successful night." "The best. My mother wants to have dinner with us next week." Amara turned in his arms, her eyes wide. "Seriously. Seriously. Fair warning, it might be awkward." "I can handle awkward. I handled you, didn't I?" Jonathan laughed. "Fair point." They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the river flow past. Jonathan thought about the morning he had first seen her walk past the cafe in her red dress. He thought about all the moments between then and now, the fear and doubt, and finally the courage to choose love. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For what?" "For not getting on that train. For giving me a chance to be brave." Mara reached up and touched his face gently. "Thank you for coming after me. For choosing us?" "Always," Jonathan promised. "From now on, I'll always choose us." He kissed her under the stars while the river whispered below them and the city lights painted everything in gold. And for the first time in his carefully planned life, Jonathan Sterling didn't worry about tomorrow. He was exactly where he was meant to be. The end.